The fourth type of antonymy I would like to mention is referred to as relational. Relational antonyms differ from gradable antonyms in that they are not susceptible to degrees of opposition, and from binary antonyms because they're not either or in character. In fact, their opposition involves movement or orientation in opposite directions. For this reason, they are also called directional opposites. There are two subtypes of relational antonyms. We have something referred to as reversives, that is normally a relationship between verbs describing movement or more generally change in opposite directions. Fall versus rise, or push versus pull are two examples. And then we have so-called converses, terms which describe a relation between two entities from alternative viewpoints. If A is above B, then B is below A. If A buys something from B, then B sells something to A. An interesting concept related to antonymy is referred to as the concept of markedness. The members of antonym pairs are often distinguished with respect to their markedness, where one of the items, the marked term, is said to possess a special mark which the other, the unmarked or default term, does not have. The notion of markedness is used in a variety of ways by different linguists. Here we distinguish three major types of markedness. For example, morphological markedness, where one item in a pair of opposites carries a morphological mark that the other lacks. This mark is typically a negative prefix. So let's look at these examples here. Well, let's apply red color to them. And as you can see, we now can add a prefix such as unhappy, impossible, or disregard to create the marked terms. A second type of markedness is referred to as distributional markedness. In sets of gradable antonyms such as long and short, high and low, the unmarked term is the item that can be used in a wider variety of contexts, for example in questions or quality descriptions. A question would normally be phrased such as how long is something, how high is something, but only very rarely how short is something and how low is it. Note that for some items, for example hot and cold, which we discussed earlier on, there is no such pattern. Semantic markedness is a distinction that applies to pairs of opposites in contexts where the normal opposition between the two terms is neutralized or non-operational. In such contexts, the unmarked term is the one that is used for both items, and its meaning is what is common to the two terms of the opposition. A famous example is the distinction between lion and lioness. In sentences such as the lion and the lioness were hunting together, there is a gender contrast between the two terms, which is neutralized in sentences such as we saw a group of lions in the grass, since the group may well contain both males and females. So the unmarked term lion refers to what is common to lion and lioness. Let's now turn our attention to hyponymy. Hyponymy is a hierarchical sense relationship between lexical items based on the notion of inclusion. A less general term includes the meaning of a more general term. The less general term is called the hyponym. So ant, fly and bee are hyponyms to insect. Fruit fly, blue fly and brown fly are hyponyms to fly. The more general term is known as the superordinate term or the hyperonym.